Hey guys, Dusty back here with Blind-Droid Tech, and this is another video blog entry here that I'm trying to just expand this channel for you guys and get you some more content and just be an information hub for you guys and just kind of explain a few things. So, I was just asked about service with T-Mobile in Omaha, Nebraska, and just was told to give my thoughts and opinions and should you switch to T-Mobile living in the Midwest, Omaha, Nebraska area, or just anywhere around the Midwest. So, obviously, T-Mobile is expanding, their coverage is getting bigger, and they just recently acquired the remaining shares of iWireless that serves Iowa and eastern Nebraska and I think a few other smaller areas. It branches outside of Iowa a little bit. Sounds like in all different areas or all different corners. And I just want to give my opinions and thoughts on T-Mobile service in Omaha, Nebraska, because this is where I live. I've been around a lot of the city and just thought I would put this video together for you guys. So, number one question, should you switch to T-Mobile living in Omaha, Nebraska? Well, let me clarify by saying no service is going to be 100% wherever you go. And I was actually just recently in a YouTube comment section arguing with the one specific person that was just dead set on Sprint being better than T-Mobile. And I personally, here's the thing. In Omaha, Nebraska, T-Mobile and Sprint are the two companies that are the furthest down when it comes to coverage and building penetration. And yes, I am talking about both Sprint and T-Mobile, because here's the thing. Sprint's got some good bandwidth. Actually, if you really think about it, Sprint's got the most coverage or most spectrum assets out of any carrier, including their gold that's considered the 2.5 gigahertz spectrum rolling into 5G. And I already made a video detailing my opinions on the Sprint T-Mobile merger. I know a lot of people are talking about that. So if you want to get some of my opinions, go to my channel and look that up. And just kind of, take what I say with a grain of salt and just kind of hear me out, because everybody's saying it's bad for competition. And look at Canada, they are down to 3 carriers and their prices are outrageous. But I don't know the Canadian market. I don't know how their services are in Canada. I've never been able to see a coverage map for those companies, so I can't give you the details on that. But going back to the T-Mobile and Sprint, if you think about it, are operating on similar networks. T-Mobile in Omaha, Nebraska and surrounding areas, they've only got 1900 megahertz spectrum and the 1700, 2100 megahertz. That's, I believe, the band 4, if I'm not mistaken. Band 2 is 1900 PCS spectrum, and 1700, 2100 kind of the more advanced of the two, I think, from my understanding. Feel free to comment and tell me if you know better about I'm not 100% on the spectrum, but here's the thing. The higher you go up in megahertz of spectrum, the harder it's going to be for that spectrum to penetrate buildings, especially if they're older, concrete, brick. If they've got the standard drywall, wood, steel framing, you're probably going to be fine as long as there's a T-Mobile tower close enough to, get that strong signal and penetrate the building. But there have been a couple. I went to a laundromat earlier today, and I don't know exactly what it's built out of. I assume it's more of a concrete brick building. And yes, T-Mobile didn't have any service in there. But once I stepped outside, I'm back up to 3, 4, 5 out of 5 bars. So when it comes to Spectrum, that's why T-Mobile bought licenses for 700 megahertz where they were able to and where they were budgeted to buy the Spectrum. And unfortunately, Nebraska and Omaha specifically was one of the unlucky ones. I'm almost positive. I can't see I don't know how to look up the distribution of Spectrum licenses for areas around the country other than just seeing coverage maps. So if any of you have vision that are following my channel, please feel free and kind of describe some of the licenses in the Midwest area, because that's the most that I'm concerned about. That's where I live, and that's where I've gotten questions about, should I switch to T-Mobile living in Omaha, Nebraska? 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said absolutely not, because their coverage was sparse, few and far in between. But talking with T-Mobile, I talk with their tech department quite a bit, and I put in quite a bit of complaints about building penetration being an issue in certain areas. I give them addresses so that way they can actually look into it and see what they can do. Because here's the thing, T-Mobile is trying to listen to their customers. I'm not saying they're perfect. I know I sound like I have a lot of bias against, other carriers, and I love T-Mobile, and T-Mobile's the best thing ever, and I'm just telling you right now, they're not the best. Their coverage is still a little on the weak side, but it has to do with their spectrum. With 1900 and 1700, 2100 megahertz, band 2 and 4, it's going to be very hard unless they densify the shit out of the area. So getting coverage 100% anywhere is going to be hard for them in that high band spectrum. Because for LTE wise, the 1900, 2100 is considered high band spectrum. So it's going to be, they need to have towers, I want to say at least every 500 to 1,000 feet or so in order for their 1900, to really make a difference. But that's why I don't know exactly. I wish I could see the map to see the distribution of 600 megahertz spectrum. But I did reach out to one of my YouTube one of my YouTube subscriptions that I've got, and I did ask him if he could kind of give me, being blind, I can't see the map, if he can give me a rundown or at least an idea of what I'm going to get. And it sounds like T-Mobile is going hard in Nebraska with the 600 megahertz, because if I remember what he said correctly, he said Nebraska and Omaha, Nebraska specifically, is getting a pretty hefty 20 by 20 megahertz bandwidth of 600 spectrum for the entire city and probably the entire state. So a 20 by 20, that's 40 megahertz of bandwidth total. And depending on how they decide to distribute it, that could really be a game changer, because Verizon and AT&T, if I'm not mistaken, have bought all the licenses that are available for the 700 megahertz spectrum band. And therefore, and yes, AT&T does have 700 megahertz in this city. I know, because the phone I'm filming or doing this video with for you guys is an AT&T phone. I would love to drop them as soon as T-Mobile gets their coverage game up a little more. But even in the last few months, I've been seeing a lot of improvements in my work. When I first started there in August, I had just about no coverage anywhere in the building. And I called them and told them, hey, this is where I'm going to be primarily. This is my job. I need my phone to be able to get text messages from my work so I can get into certain systems. And they are taking it to ear, and they have special notes on my account to keep an eye on Spectrum in the city and places where they have weaker signal, and they are really trying. And I actually am in talks with T-Mobile because their T-Mobile app isn't very blind friendly, which is kind of funny because their T-Mobile Tuesdays reward program app is fairly accessible. I've been able to do just about everything to get that game going and see what I get for rewards. So it's kind of weird that their T-Mobile app is not accessible really, and their T-Mobile Tuesdays app is, but that's also a special note on the account. And from everything that I've been talking to them about, I've been talking to management and saying, hey, what's the status on it? And the note's still on my account. They're supposed to be kind of getting a hold of me and letting me know what's going on with that. I guess they're doing some investigations on how to make that T-Mobile app more blind friendly. And I've given them some suggestions and kind of ideas how they can improve their app for blind and visually impaired users using TalkBack and VoiceOver from Google and Samsung respectively. And they are working on it. They're trying. They're at least listening to their customers. I'm not saying AT&T and Verizon won't, but I won't go back to Verizon because they've just screwed me over so bad. And their prices are just so high. People are like, oh, T-Mobile's getting up there too. And yes, they're getting close. But you guys got to figure taxes and fees are actually a big part of the bill. I mean, they're not really. It's about, depending on where you live, between 10 and 15 to 17%. But once you're already over $100, 10 to 15% of, let's say, 120 or 130, you're talking between 13 to 18, 20 bucks. And that makes a difference. Over a year, you're talking about $200 that you're saving. And some of you, well, whatever, you're just cheapskate. And no, I'm more willing to go with a company that has had less of a reputation of screwing over their customers. And I know this is going to be a long video. Bear with me, guys. I can make this like 2 or 3, 5 separate videos. But I'm just here to chat and inform you guys. So, T-Mobile in Omaha, Nebraska. Should you switch or should you hold off? It depends on how absolutely crucial it is for you to be in a building and be able to be on your phone. Because in my apartment and when I went to the smoke bar here in Omaha and kind of socialized, I reached a speed and coverage of 4 to 5 out of 5 bars with a download speed of between 100 and 130 megabits download and about 13 to 18 megabits upload. That is crazy good. And some people are like, oh, it's not the speed that matters, it's the coverage. Well, for me, it's a little bit of both, because I did have a better experience, being able to get into some buildings on Sprint. And yes, there were some buildings where Sprint even had some trouble, but that was back in 2014, 2015. I was with Sprint from 2008 or 9 till about 2015 or so. And even I had some difficulty in some buildings and in some basements with them. So that's why right now I'm going to tell you I have a T-Mobile postpaid account. So I'm on the T-Mobile One. And I've got a secondary, my primary line, I actually switched over to AT&T prepaid. I will not go AT&T postpaid because I work for Marriott hotels, and they have about a 22 or 23% discount with AT&T service if you go postpaid. But for me, I don't want to, and I hate how AT&T and Verizon did it because they made employee discounts only available on their tiered data plans, and they don't allow employee discounts on postpaid on unlimited, but they'll allow military discounts. So that kind of bothers me pretty bad because I would have went ahead and went to the AT&T postpaid and just paid the monthly amount, brought my phone over so that way I didn't have to pay another, get locked into them. But yeah, I've got a AT&T prepaid $45 6 GB plan, and they don't offer the discounts on prepaid either, so that's why I'm kind of like, it's whatever, unless they change their policy to allow employee discounts to apply to the unlimited. Because look, AT&T's unlimited plus plan to actually get the higher priority and get, oops, sorry, hold on one sec, battery is low.
Okay, button.
All right. I don't want to go with AT&T because unless you get bundled DirecTV Now or DirecTV, you're still going to be paying a lot more. And look, $95 a month for the AT&T Plus Unlimited, that's a lot. And I mean, 23% of that is roughly 20, 21, 22 bucks. So you're still talking 70 to 75 bucks plus tax. So you're still looking at about 80 bucks or so. And I mean, if they can't allow that few buck discount, that's not a company I really want to give my loyalty to. So right now I've just got the AT&T so that I can get coverage at my work and get my text messages to be able to get into my systems at work and all that for verification purposes. But once T-Mobile gets to the point where I get consistent service in that building, and I am starting to get some LTE service in that building, so they are improving it. I don't know exactly what they're doing. They won't tell me what bands they're putting up or if they're just strengthening this, the towers that they have and the hardware that they have, because it's my understanding that Omaha, Nebraska's infrastructure with T-Mobile is pretty weak and old as T-Mobile infrastructure goes. And they are adding a bunch of towers and crap all around the city. I am still in touch with T-Mobile and trying to get more information about what they've got and what they're doing to the city, because I'm a concerned consumer. The only way you're going to get these companies to even consider is keep bringing it to their attention. Hey, I'm still having signal issues, and with Verizon and AT&T, it was like, well, we're not going to have coverage everywhere. And T-Mobile has not even given me that excuse. They're like, okay, well, we're going to notate this. We're going to bring it to the engineers' attention and just see what they can do. And they're going to do what they can. Obviously, they have a budget to go through, but they're really trying. So I don't want to make this video too long. I'll make a separate video continuing this, but question, should you switch to T-Mobile? I don't want to be responsible for saying yes, switch, and then you have signal issues if there are specific buildings that you go to. If you're not concerned about having 100% signal every single building you go into, I would say yes, definitely support them because they are working on it. But if it's crucial to you, hold off. Like I said, I have an AT&T prepaid just so I can make sure I can get my rides with my Uber and Lyft when I need to, and don't have to just sit there and wait outside and all that. Even AT&T inside the building for like my vet and the dry cleaners, or not dry cleaners, but the laundromat. They have spotty. Even AT&T has a little bit spottier coverage in some of those buildings, but at least they've got service. So when it comes to that, that's up to you. Like I said, I've got. Actually, I upgraded myself. I gave myself a little present for working so hard and being back to work, and I'm already getting promoted here in the next couple weeks or so. So, I went ahead and upgraded myself to that Galaxy Note 8 because I've never tried a Galaxy Note, and I've got a video coming for you guys on that, and I'll give you my opinions on that, what I've seen, and how it's working. But if you're not concerned about getting service in every single building, switch. If you are, hold off. I don't know exactly when their 600 megahertz upgrade to this area is going to be. They're kind of letting a few things slip here and there, saying we're getting the modern antennas and reflectors and all that will be able to handle our future network. So that's leading me to believe they're at least getting some of the technology up, so that way when the spectrum's clear, they could just flip a switch and light it up. I'm really hoping that's how they're doing it, but I don't know. They're not really giving me any specifics because I don't think they can. Really, company policy gives specifics on that, but trust me, I'm trying, and once I get updates, I will let you guys know, and so you guys will be more, educated and all that. So that's what I have to say on that, or at least some of it. I could go on for hours, but I don't want to make this one long ranting video. So please, I hope you guys enjoy this. If you did, show your support, give your thumbs up, share your comments. You guys have been pretty awesome about sharing your comments and being intelligent and not just being jerks and, oh, they suck or your videos are terrible. Because I know there are a lot of people doing some editing, but I still, as a blind person, still have to work out all the details about how to get a good editing app, and most of the work I do is through my phone, so I don't really have a working computer at the moment, so I'm trying to work with what I get on Android for accessible apps. So show your support. If you have any ideas on how I can improve the video and where I could go to get, some of this, I'm still trying to work on it, but working 10-hour shifts at my new job is kind of taxing on me, so I've been just relaxing on my couple days off that I have. So bear with me, guys. I'm still trying to get back into the video game, and I'm looking for some intro music and outro music and kind of background music and all that, and just got to figure out how I'm supposed to, make the songs play, and then when I'm talking, have it kind of go to background. So I'm still working on how to do that as a blind person, and obviously I want my videos to be top quality for you guys. But anyways, that's enough for this rant. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, like I said, please share, subscribe, thumb up the video. It helps me out, keeps me going. I like to see motivational, showing your support keeps me motivated, and I want to make videos for you guys. But if you're not liking it, what's the point? So if there's something I can do to kind of help the videos, please give me ideas, and I will do my very best. I know adding that intro music and outro music is supposed to be done through the desktop site, so maybe I can kind of play around with it and get it to work so I can do it on my phone. I've got a few ideas, but I just need to actually get in and do it. So Any ideas would be greatly appreciated. And until the next time, guys, this was Dusty with Blind-Droid Tech. Have a good one. Peace out.